Warning, this video contains opinions, and if you disagree with them, feel free to leave your thoughts in a civil manner in the comments below. Thank you and enjoy.
Payment required.
Doom: The Dark Ages. It was my most anticipated game of 2025 coming into this year, and I was extremely excited to see its release date. I loved Doom Eternal when it first came out, so when I heard they were making another one, I was ecstatic. I thought it would reach new heights that the Doom series has never hit before, and that's a hard feat to ask after Doom Eternal. But now that I've finished the game, I'm left a little disappointed. Even though the game was very good, it never really hit the expectations I had for it. And I felt there was many design elements that were made that really hurt the game. So I'm gonna explain why I think this is, and my thoughts on each part of the game, and what I liked and what I didn't like about it. We're going to start off first with the story, as the story is possibly the best part about this game. I'm not going to dwell too deep into the story, as that's not my job. It's set before Doom 2016 and after the flashback scenes in Doom Eternal. It's a nice simple story, and it has its effective merits. We get to see what the Sentinels were like, and we get to live in them. We see how they feared the Doomslayer, and we see them over time trust the Doomslayer more and more, and distrust the Creedmaker. So the story overall is pretty good. Again, I'm not going to dwell too deep into it. But a lot of the story is conveyed through cutscenes, which I really enjoyed, as there wasn't many cutscenes in Doom Eternal. But in this game, there's pretty much cutscenes on every single level, at least most of them, whether at the beginning or the end. And they're great. I have nothing more to say about them. They're greatly animated. They tell a lot about the world and the characters, and the cutscenes are good. So when this game comes to map variety, it's great as well. There's really no two levels that seem the same outside of the two-parter levels, and some of the environments in this game are just absolutely beautiful. In fact, two of my favorite environments in all of the Doom games are in this game in particular, being the Cthulhu levels with the green skybox and twisted waters, and seeing the Eldritch horrors in the skybox, and the blood forest right after Doomguy is resurrected and walking around there. These environments are absolutely beautiful. In terms of map layouts, it's pretty much the same as the other games, except with a new feature being open world levels. They're pretty much the same as regular levels, except you being able to choose which encounter you want to do first. They don't really add anything, but they don't detract anything either. So they're just kind of there. If they weren't in the game, I wouldn't mind, but they are, so it adds a little bit of variety. While we're on maps, I'll also talk about the music. The music is okay. It's definitely a step down from Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 music. I never really felt myself jamming out to the music like I did in those games, and definitely no music I'll ever be listening to outside of the games. But the music itself isn't bad.
Yes, I know. You had such a hard day. Luckily, Mommy's here. Go ahead and lay your head in my chest.
I'm gonna quickly cover the mech and dragon levels. There's only 3 of each of them, so we'll quickly cover them now. The mech levels I thought were very good. Each one was pretty short, but in each one, they were pretty much there just to let you have a power fantasy, either with just a giant minigun or just absolutely beating the crap out of all the titans in the area. They never felt like they overstayed their welcome, and the final one, which gave you the cannon, was extremely fun. They also added a boss to that level too, which we'll get to shortly, but it helped keep the mech levels fresh and interesting. On the other hand, the dragon levels unfortunately did not do such a thing. The dragon levels, all 3 of them, felt very much like a drag to play. They weren't very interesting, and they felt kind of long. Instead of the dragon levels being more of you flying around and chasing jets like a dogfight, it more felt like you sitting still and doing quick dodges to break shields and ships, and then landing at certain positions to get off the dragon. It kind of felt like the dragon was an afterthought, which is weird because it was a main selling point of this game was the dragon levels. You don't fight any real enemies in the dragon other than the tentacles and the hell ships. And there's no real big open world expansion with the dragon levels, which I would have loved. Flying around, firing at jets, and bringing down ships with your bombs would be really cool, but unfortunately there's not. The enemy variety in this game, in Doom the Dark Ages, is pretty good. You have your classic enemies like the zombie and the soldier, but you also have some new enemies like the Pinky Rider and Battle Knight, which helps blend the enemy variety from old already existing enemies to new enemies that we don't know how to fight. The enemies also come with armored variants, which is this new enemy armor system, which how the enemy armor system works is when you deal damage to an enemy, they take 0 damage, but the armor will heat up. After the armor reaches 100% heat, you can break it with your shield to stun the enemy and also completely remove the armor. Or if you have a super shotgun or something that deals high amounts of damage, you could just completely break through the armor once it's fully heated, which allows for some variety on how you want to tackle an enemy. Do you want to throw your shield to get rid of its armor immediately? Or do you want to just break through it with your super shotgun and just keep gunning them down? There's also empower demons, which buffs certain demons around them and will respawn them after death, meaning that you have to take care of the empowered demon first before dealing with all the other ones, which adds for some great variety and some difficult decision making when you have multiple of them on the field, or one empowered demon and one big threat demon. This is where Doom the Dark Ages starts to struggle though, is the weapons. In Doom the Dark Ages, you have 8 ammo types, 7 of which have 2 weapons each. The only weapon to have its own ammo type is the chain shot. One great new feature Dark Ages adds that I wish was in Doom Eternal is the ability to just switch between the 2 weapons of an ammo type instantly, allowing you to quick switch if you need to in an instant, which is a great feature and I wish was in Doom Eternal. But unfortunately, it's not useful in this game. Most weapons that have the same ammo type share the same purpose in terms of fighting enemies, meaning that there's not really a point to switch between them. There's also not really a reason to use most of the weapons in this game. I only mainly ran 3 weapons in this game, being the super shotgun, the chain shot, and the rocket launcher. The super shotgun, for obvious reasons, is possibly the best gun in this game. It's able to deal high amounts of damage on a wide area, and the chain shot and rocket launcher are great because due to the parrying system, with the upgrades with these weapons, you gain the ability to empower your next shot, meaning that you can chain your parries and shots together to deal massive damage during an enemy's rampage. But all the other weapons in this game, other than those 3, kind of felt useless. The regular shotgun gets outclassed by the super shotgun. The grenade launcher gets outclassed by the rocket launcher. Both the pulverizer and the stake shot kind of really didn't have a niche in this game, as throwing your shield out to just shoot a large target to deal damage to small enemies around you isn't a good idea. And the stake shot doesn't deal damage to nearby enemies and doesn't deal enough damage to a single target to warrant it, even with its ability to empower with parrying, just like the chain shot and rocket launcher. And finally, the energy weapons, they got the worst of this treatment. In Doom Eternal, the energy weapons were a little weak, but they had the ability to explode any energy shields, and there was a lot of energy shields. Off the top of my head, there was at least 3 enemies that used energy shields, 2 of which being extremely common and 1 of which being a boss, meaning you would want to get rid of that shield quickly. In Dark Ages, however, there is only 1 enemy that uses a shield, and that's the energy shielded soldier. And while the energy weapons still have the same ability from Doom Eternal to explode energy shields, it doesn't really work in this game as the energy shield soldiers aren't very common, and they can get killed by a shield instantly as they count as small units, so their shield will just bounce between them until they're all dead. So unfortunately, the energy weapons are completely useless in this game. I never felt like how I did in Doom Eternal, where I always wanted to switch my guns, and each gun at least had a purpose to be used. In this game, it doesn't have that. Unfortunately, only 3 of the guns are actually worth using, and the rest are just going to get sidelined. There's also melee weapons in this game, and they replace the chainsaw, 3 to be exact. Your fist, a flail, and a bone crusher. I used the flail in my playthrough for the most part and fully upgrading it, but if you enjoy the playstyles that those two weapons empower, then I could definitely see you liking it. I preferred the flail in my opinion because I like dealing extra damage to armor, but I could definitely see those two being good. So I find the melee weapons to be pretty good and honestly a good trade. You can also chain together hits with the fist and the flail, but I found that to be pretty useless as they don't deal much damage and they also don't stun enemies like they're supposed to. I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but they tend to not stun enemies, meaning you're wasting your melee hits on basically dealing no damage, as the melee hits also don't grant you invulnerability, meaning you will take massive damage when trying to pull off this 3-hit combo. Now we're getting on to the really bad parts about this game. The glory kill system. This is just terrible. I don't know what they were thinking when trying to do this. When they changed the glory kill system, they wanted to keep us in the action 24/7, which is a good idea on paper. In practice, however, it feels very unsatisfying. You can still get the regular glory kills when killing bosses, mini bosses, or large enemies from specific angles, like jumping or coming from behind, and it will sometimes play an animation. But most of the time, it's just going to be Doom Guy kicking them, which feels really unsatisfying and honestly not entertaining at all. It makes the game feel way less gory than it used to. Glory kills made you feel like you were in the action and completely destroying whatever it is, whether it was ripping through them with a chainsaw or grabbing their heart and literally forcing them to eat it. It was amazing in Doom Eternal, but in this game, it sucks. It doesn't have any real reason to be like that. But also with the glory kill system, they did something. And something that makes this game a lot worse, honestly, in a gameplay sense. You cannot glory kill fodder enemies in this game. You can only glory kill heavy and higher enemies, which really hurts because just like the melee weapons, when you glory kill, you are not invincible, meaning going for a glory kill sometimes could end up with you taking more damage than you received. There's no real way to get health otherwise. Rather than always being low on ammo, like in Doom Eternal, where I always had to think about, okay, I have to get ammo here, I have to chainsaw this guy to get some ammo, I have to constantly switch my weapons so I'm not going to run out of ammo in my super shotgun. In Dark Ages, I feel like that, but for health, because there's no real easy way to get health. There's plenty of ways to get ammo. In fact, glory kills themselves give ammo, so you're never going to be running low on ammo unless you are purposely not paying attention, but you will be constantly needing health in this game. And finally, we get to probably the worst part about this game. It's the shield. It's the shield. It is so poorly made. I don't know what they did. We'll start off with the basic functions of the shield. The shield has health that can soak up damage for you, and it has the ability to parry. If it's melee, it will most likely stun after multiple consecutive parries. If it's a projectile, it will shoot the projectile back at the enemy or wherever direction you're looking at. Also, if you parry a projectile, you will activate your shield ability, whether that is Fracture, the Knives, the Sentry Gun, or the Electrical Current. All these are pretty good abilities, and personally I went with the Knives because I like high damage, but all of them are good and have their own niches, so it's really up to player preference, which I really like. You can also have the ability to throw the shield, which will kill all fodder enemies in one shot and chain off them if they have shields. It will break 100% heated armor, and against heavy enemies that are not mini bosses, will stun them in place and deal damage over time. On paper, this seems like a fantastic thing for the game, and for the most part, it should be. Should is the word here, because unfortunately, this game throws a lot of projectiles at you. Almost every single enemy in this game has a projectile, meaning that you need your shield up to be able to soak the damage due to there being no dodge system in this game. In fact, your only way of mobility in this game is through the shield bash, which is extremely bad. For a form of mobility, it is possibly the worst I have ever seen. If you use it against fodder enemies, it will kill a lot of them instantly, but as soon as you use it against anything a little bit heavier, it immediately falls apart due to either a glitch or an intentional feature, being that when you bash, your shield will immediately drop, even if you hold the shield blocking button throughout the entire bash. So if you bash to a heavy enemy, most likely that heavy enemy will immediately hit you before you can bring your shield up. So you will never be using it. So without any form of ability, you will struggle to dodge your way through all the projectiles being thrown at you, which shouldn't be a problem due to your shield's health. It can block all projectiles. Unfortunately, your shield has extremely low health, and there's no way to increase the shield's health, even through upgrades. And if your shield ever goes down, that's pretty much game for you, as you will immediately be rushed down by all the melee enemies, and once that happens, you're done because they do not miss their attacks. And because you need your shield to block and parry all the time, throwing your shield becomes really a bad decision a lot of the time, especially leaving it in a heavy enemy for long periods of time, as you're gonna need it to do other things. I think Doom: The Dark Ages is a good game. It is definitely worth the $70 it is priced at. But if you were looking for a game on the level of Doom Eternal or Doom 2016, you're not going to find this game here. It is definitely the worst out of the modern Doom games and is a step down from Doom Eternal. But Doom Eternal being so good, taking a step down from that is not that bad. And if you like the gameplay of the shield parrying and running around with your super shotgun for most of the game, then you'll enjoy this game heavily. But as someone who really enjoyed Doom Eternal and played on it at nightmare difficulty and collecting all the collectibles on nightmare difficulty, this game kind of disappointed me a bit.